I'm ready.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to McDonald Observatory. Welcome to our family astronomy program called Books, Books, Books. I'm Judy Meyer, and I'm here with some of my special friends and guests. And I think we should just go around the screen and introduce ourselves. So I'll start with me. I'm Judy Meyer. I live and work at McDonald Observatory, and I'm really happy to be here. And to my next to me is Martinique Pautzke. And when you're done introducing yourself, pass it off to Sam.
Hello, I'm Martinique Pautzke. I'm the K-12 Education Program Coordinator here at the McDonald Observatory, working a lot with student programs. Next is Sam.
Hi, my name is Sam Jones. I am also a public programs person here at McDonald Observatory. And next I'm going to throw it back to Parker.
Hi, I'm Parker Duke. I am the telescope operator for the 107-inch telescope here at McDonald Observatory. So,
Hello, my name is Saul Rivera. I'm one of the public program specialists here at the McDonald Observatory, so I help out with the guided tours, star parties, star viewings, and live stream programs such as this.
And thank you all. And I think I'm just especially excited that we have Parker here with us because Parker's not one of our usual visitor center people. And so Parker gets to run one of our big telescopes, and I think that's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to throw in some slides and give you a little bit of a background. So this is a nice picture that shows McDonald Observatory. Oh, the other thing I need to say is that we do have moderators moderating the chat. We are live, and if you're watching us live, you're welcome to type into the chat. Tell us where you are visiting from. Any questions you might have about the observatory, about visiting the observatory, about other things like that, feel free to ask them in the chat, and our moderators can either handle them or kick them over to us. So here we are at McDonald Observatory, and you can see that at the observatory there's two main mountaintops, and on the right-hand side is Mount Locke with our 82-inch and 107-inch telescopes. And on the left-hand side is Mount Fulks with our Hobby Eberly telescope. And the reason we're here and the reason we're talking about books is that is because of this guy. This guy is William J. McDonald. He is the reason that McDonald Observatory is here. He lived from 1844 until 1926. And what you're seeing on the right-hand side of this view is some of his books. We have some books from his collection. He left the money that built McDonald Observatory, and you can see just by looking at these few pictures of some of his books that he was interested in really a lot of things, like the desert, like energy, like nutrition, like stars and the earth and volcanoes. So lots and lots and lots of things. And we're kind of building on that legacy of liking books. And so we think books are really important. And last week we had Read Across America Day, and we didn't really have time to do a live stream then. So here we are now, and we're kind of tying this into that too. So we are going to talk first. We're going to start with the youngest and work our way up. So board books for the youngest astronomers, please take it away, Martinique.
All right, let me share with y'all. I have a lot of books. I have a 4-year-old, so we have a lot of space books here, and we are starting with Astrophysics for Babies. Chris Ferrie and Julia Kregenow wrote this, and it is just fantastic because it really breaks down some of the basic principles of astrophysics. And you might think a baby doesn't need this, but babies need to listen to you talk. So you might as well read them books about astrophysics because it's real simple, right? This is a ball. It's the shape of the planet Earth. This is the sun. It's also the shape of a ball, but much bigger. The Earth orbits around the sun. Your baby needs to know this. So this is just a fantastic book that kind of breaks down those principles. It's nice and simple, and your baby's just going to lay there and coo at you anyway. So they're just going to love it. The next book has more brightly colored images in it. Our solar system book here. This one's by Jill McDonald, no relation that I'm aware of. But she has a lot of fun pictures in here, as well as like little space facts. So again, as you're reading to your little ones, you got some real bright things to look at and real interesting facts going on for you. I did want a quick mention, if you do have little ones joining us today, if you look down in the description, we made a coloring page for y'all to color along with a books page. And there's a few books on there that you can make up your own colorful book cover if you'd like to. So print that, check that out. My next book that I have to share with you, I am in love with this book, y'all. This book is called I Heart Pluto. And this is also by Ferrie. And Helen Maynard-Casely. And this book is about what makes a planet a planet. For the history of humanity, we could look up and see bright little spots that moved around amongst the stars, and we called them wanderers, which was planetes in Latin. And once our technology got a lot better, we started finding more and more things. So we actually found out that we really need to define this word. Is a planet anything that orbits the sun? Because that's a lot of stuff as our telescopes get better. So what astronomers did is they came up with a few rules that would indicate what is a planet or a classical planet and what is something else, like a dwarf planet. And this book just breaks down what those rules are and shows Pluto that he has lots of friends in the planet party. And it is just a joy. There's another book a lot like this that Judy's going to talk about.
Well, yes. However, got to get to it. Here it is. It's a little book called 8 Little Planets, and here's what I like about it. Each book, and this is again by Ferrie and illustrated by someone named Lizzy Doyle. So it has and I've got the book has a big hole in it. So you can, each planet is a little bit smaller hole. That's kind of fun. You work your way from the outer planets in. So we start with Neptune and work our way in. Let me just read to you about Mercury. Okay. So it first says something sort of sad. It says, super fast Mercury could sing a sad tune. It must get lonely without any moons. Poor, super sad, lonely Mercury. But then it says, but the first little planet never feels bad. Being closest to the sun is a reason to be glad. So a sort of a sad thing and a sort of a happy thing about each planet. So 8 little planets. That's a very fun one. And then got another one for you. And that is the ABCs of space. And the ABCs of space is fun. And this is again by Ferrie and Julia. You'd think they're the only ones who write kids' books about space, and that's not true. But they write some really good stuff. And here's what I like about the ABCs of space. This is a board book. You can read it to your kids. You can help them read because it's like D is for dark matter, right? And that's great. You could go through and just read A is for asteroid, B is for binary star, C is for comet, D is for dark matter. Or you could read the second part. And the second part says an asteroid is a big chunk of rock that orbits the sun. Or you could read the third part. And the third part goes into more detail about what an asteroid is, or what dark matter is, or what the habitable zone is, or what a neutron star is. So there's levels of reading, and I really like that. And that's the ABCs of space. Okay, what is next? Next, we have more books for young astronomers, but they're not necessarily board books. And so, Martinique, tell me.
So this book is my favorite. Out of all the books that we ended up with, right? I have an astronomer in my house. We're science people. So we ended up with too many books for small children about space. But this one is my favorite, all right? Dr. Julia Kregenow, images by Carmen Saldaña. This book is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I know exactly what you are. And there is no way to get through this book goodness, there's like 50 pages without singing. You have to sing it, all right? You have to sing it. So we're just gonna show you how amazing this book is, right? We start out, I'm gonna have to back up here for y'all. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, I know exactly what you are. Opaque ball of hot, dense gas, 1,000,000 times our planet's mass. Looking small because you're far, I know exactly what you are. It's just fantastic. Y'all, I could read every single page in this book. Yay. It's just amazing. It talks about Say that again.
I said I think that deserves a round of applause.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
that was
amazing.
amazing.
It talks about cool stars that are smaller and red. It talks about neutron stars that are dense and hot. It talks about black holes. It's just everything, and you can sing it, and it's amazing. And if I had to recommend any book, that is the one. Oh my goodness, y'all. That's my favorite. We'll have to sing it another time.
Very
We
good.
have more books.
We do. We have more books. So let's see. Oh, so we have the Our Universe series by Stacy McAnulty. And I have 3 of them here. So I don't have enough hands. They're kind of big. But you can see on the screen, there's the Earth and there's the Moon. The other ones, there's the Sun, there's Mars. There's something about, I think, weather. I don't know, but there's lots of them, and we have a few of them. And these are fun because they're just fun. I mean, they got beautiful illustrations and facts about the Earth and the Moon and the Sun and Mars and gravity. Oh, let me put this in. Okay. So it's talking about gravity, but it's using an illustration of a cow on the moon. I like that. That's very fun. So that's a fun series of books. Let me tell you about this, though. The Moon one, we checked this out from our local public library, and you can do that too. And the Earth and the Sun one, the boss bought them for us at half-price books. Many of the books we're talking about tonight are available at our gift shop, but not these ones. Let's see what's next. Next is me again. Did you have something to say?
I was going to say a great thank you to our local librarian for suggesting these books to us. She suggested them for Read Across America Week as well.
Awesome. So another one is Me and My Place in Space by Joan Sweeney, illustrated by Christine Gore. This is just helping a kid place themselves in their room on the Earth with the moon orbiting the sun, and talks about the planets and galaxies and the great beyond. So it's fun because it's about placing yourself in space. Very fun. And then we have the classic. I'll bet you've all seen this book, Goodnight Moon. And I thought Martinique was going to talk about it, but she seems to have left us. That's okay. So Goodnight Moon, you all know this one, right? Goodnight Moon. And it turns out there's a whole lot of other Goodnight books. Goodnight Galaxy, Goodnight Solar System. And Goodnight Moon is a great book. It's not really an astronomy book. However, we had a friend come and visit us last summer, and that was our friend Cassie Kincaid. And Cassie has a website called Book Days, and Cassie connected Goodnight Moon to a visit to McDonald Observatory, and she talked to all different kinds of people and visited McDonald Observatory and talk to people about the moon. And we encourage you to go see Book Day's website and YouTube channel and learn more about Cassie and the things that she does, because she really likes books too. So next up is Sam.
So this book, Comet, Stars, the Moon, and Mars, was actually the book that I read for Read Across America. And it's from the galaxy and solar system out to our great beyond in a poem form. So I'm going to read out one of the poems because they're very short and sweet. And I am going to read about Jupiter, because that's one of Judy's favorites. So it's a little, oop, completely lost it. That's what I get for the green screen. Hang on, y'all. I'll stop that real quick, and then we'll get back to the there we go. All right. Yeah, very boring background, but now we can see the book. So Jupiter's jumbo, gigantic, immense, so wide side to side, but gaseous, not dense. With some 60 moons, it's plainly prolific, so super duper Jupiter-rific. And I absolutely love this page because it shows the 4 satellite moons that we normally see when we look through a telescope. Those are Io, Ganymedes, Europa, and Callisto. So, yay. Love the book. It was so great to read out to the kids. And next. So, What We See in the Stars by Kelsey Osei. It's combining art, mythology, and science to give a tour of the night sky with more than 100 pieces of original artwork. As you can see, our night sky here with Draco the Dragon and Ursa Major, or is that Minor, and Leo, and things like that.
So, Sam, this is about constellations?
This is about constellations.
That's awesome.
It's a really cool book about constellations. I was very enthralled when I saw it in the gift shop. I was just going through it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so another book of constellations. It's On a Clear Night by Phyllis Davis, but this goes more in the little poem format. So kind of gives a little short poem kind of explaining how you can actually see the shape of, oh, you're looking at Orion. How did I see the shape of Orion? But in a little poem format. So let me switch to a random one. Let's see. Or is there any constellation y'all want me to read the description of? Okay. This one, Cassiopeia. Oh, Cassiopeia. Cepheus Queen Cassiopeia sits in her heavenly chair. It looks like a chair if you move it around. So, also some green screen shenanigans going on here. Let me turn that off. There it goes. So kind of explain where she actually is. See, there she is on her little chair. It's
Cool.
Just gives lots of very little kind of cute descriptions of the different constellations. Yeah, next is Space, the Universe if you've never seen it before, which is a kids encyclopedia that's more on the informative side, but diverse subject matter, as Sam's showing there. And kind of talks about space and the wonders of cosmos, and basically a bit of everything in between. So yeah, pretty pictures.
I turned on my green screen way too early, but Neptune's pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then they also go into stars and constellations.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And now we're going for the older audiences, so young adults. And so it's going to be a bit of change in the type of books, as you can imagine.
All right, so Wrinkle in Time. This was one of my favorite books growing up. It's a adventure in space and time, in searching for the main character's father, who was a scientist that was working on the Tesseract problem. And a Tesseract is a wrinkle in time. I won't go into any more of that because it's a big part of the book, but it's really cool. Yeah, it goes into a lot of history and English and science and math, and it's really neat, and it combines it all. And for someone who was an English nerd, it was great to be able to feel confident with science concepts. All right.
My turn. This is a book series that's very near and dear to my heart. I think in my senior year of high school, I wrote every single book report through the entire year about this series of books, and it really makes space exploration exciting, with conflict and relations between humans and aliens, and it's just fascinating. So I would recommend it to anyone who's a young adult.
Parker, how many books are in the series?
I believe 5.
Wow. Okay. Cool. I haven't read them yet.
The second in the series, Xenocide, is probably my favorite science fiction book of all time. It's fantastic.
Ooh.
Cool.
All right. Well, now that's on my list.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. See, you're just adding stuff to our list.
Just to increase the pile of books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so this one is Nightfall by Isaac Asimov. So you might have heard of Isaac Asimov a lot, especially in science fiction. But this is my personal favorite short story of his, which is also a full-length novel. I got it here as well. And it's basically about a world that has never experienced nighttime because there's 6 suns constantly providing light. But there's talks that there will be an event that will brings darkness to the land. In this case, not figurative, like literal darkness. It's going to become dark around, and the idea is that there's going to be extreme chaos afterwards. That's all I'm going to say, because it really is worth a read. Also explains science concepts really well. So it's like, oh, here are orbits work. It's like, hey, this makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
All right. And then we have The Mysteries of the Universe by Will Gator. It's a space encyclopedia with reference pages with a lot of information on them. Planets, asteroids, black holes, galaxy, the solar system, many, many more. Very similar to the one we shown, but a different encyclopedia overall.
But it looks just beautiful.
It is absolutely stunning. We were all in the gift shop going, ooh, when it pulled it out of the box.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So another one for our reference shelf.
Yes. Another one for the reference shelf.
Ooh,
Ooh.
hold on, skipped one.
Oh,
Ha! Too many people advancing the slides.
there
There
it
we
is.
go.
All right. Now this one is on my to be read list. It's a historical fiction talking about Percival's planet. It's the race to discover Pluto, and it involves the discoverer of Pluto, Lowell Observatory, which is an observatory that we worked with before. Saul was on that live stream.
Yeah, so you can make sure to check them out in the YouTube history to see the live streams with them.
Absolutely. So it sounds really exciting, and I'm very excited to try to read it. It is historical fiction, so while there is some truth to it, not all absolutely 100%. So just keep that in mind. But it's great for jumping off into finding more reference books and more information about discovering Pluto.
Ooh,
Yeah.
all right. So next we have oops. There we go.
All right. So if you were to ask me, all of Neil deGrasse Tyson's more pop science books really fall under the same umbrella as Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, where he takes extremely cutting edge science and dumbs it down. Well, not dumbs it down, but puts it into what we would call English and not science talk. Just the things that he describes are just unbelievable, and it's really a window into an entire world of astrophysics that is otherwise inaccessible to a great majority of people, and I think that's fantastic. So I'd recommend you check it out.
So Parker, do you think that people who aren't astrophysicists can feel like they understand some things? Is that
Exactly
what these books do? That's awesome.
I think that's precisely what he's going for, and I think he's extremely successful with it.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I will have to say I put in Merlin's Tour of the Universe because it's very fun to me. He answers as Merlin from a different from the Andromeda galaxy, from a different planet.
Ooh.
And like all his friends are these big scientists, and he's like explaining these science concepts in more layman terms.
Yeah.
Sorry, Spiral. Freudian slip.
So next we got the yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You go, Sam. Oh, there you go.
So it's a big book of all these different ideas. Similar to the Neil deGrasse Tyson, it's tackling a lot of big ideas to explain them a bit more simply. So here's one on, I'm not doing that one. The movement of stars, and then the sunspots appearing in cycles, which we talk a lot about sunspots here during our solar viewing programs. So it's highly awesome to check that out. That's another reference book.
That's a wonderful one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've moved past the young adults, and now we've got everyone. And our title used to be for the old adults, but that's not really what we mean. So it's for anyone, for all.
Yeah.
What's on there? Oh, I know, Parker's book.
So this is the one I suggested, and the reason I suggested it is because a good I would say 60 to 70% of the research I assist with on the 107-inch telescope at McDonald actually has to do with exoplanet search. And exoplanets are bodies that orbit another star in the same way that the Earth orbits the sun. And these worlds have just incredible properties that Michael Summers and James Truffle really go into great detail explaining. The things that they discuss, I mean, you can see in the subheading there, diamond worlds. There are genuinely planets in our universe that are made 90 to 98% out of diamond.
Let's go there.
And it really feels like it's almost science fiction with how unbelievable these worlds could be, but they're real, and I help look at them, so it's really cool.
I love that. And this helps you talk to the astronomers whose research it is that you're helping with?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
All right. How it began. This is a time traveler's guide to the universe. It's the milestones in the history of our universe, so guiding through space and time to from the Big Bang and beyond, and how we got to our night sky.
That's awesome.
Ooh, and The Secret Life of Stars, award-winning astronomer, and each chapter explaining different and unusual stars, their characteristics and attributes, even talking about our sun as well, and why it's great that we're traveling around the sun.
That looks like a good one.
Yeah, that's on my to be read list. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so Stephen Hawking's The Universe in a Nutshell, this one that was recommended to the list. And it's kind of how the title kind of speaks for itself. Stephen Hawking talking about the universe in a nutshell, kind of him going over different aspects of the universe. So kind of cool, one of like the biggest astronomers and scientists, physicists of the time, being able to explain this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just got Bad Astronomy by Philip Plight. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And he's basically talking about, well, what basically misconceptions, misuses, or about astronomy. So from astrology to the moon landing being a hoax, or other ideas of how space works, like how it might be in the movie, how they might show in the movie versus how it is in reality, and explains them really well. He explains what parts are true, what parts are not.
Yeah, this book's been out for a while, and it's really a classic because it goes through a lot of things that we hear from people often about, that they think the moon landing was a hoax or something else. It's in there, and it's explained, and it's debunked, and it's a good one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and kind of a mention of the chat. The books that are found on our gift shop and gift shop website, we will kind of make a note of it in the description later on of which ones are on the gift shop or not.
Yep.
Yep, but we got another classic, Cosmos by Carl Sagan. Many people have heard of this book, or at least if not the TV series. And that goes for people who are into astronomy and people who aren't that into astronomy. Kind of follow Carl Sagan around as he's explaining, well, the cosmos around us and his point of view. And it's honestly a very, very fun read or watch if you decide to watch the series instead. And there was also a newer one done with Neil deGrasse Tyson being the host of it. So it's... Yep. So here's another similar exoplanet one, Looking for Earth by Alan Boss. The ultimate insider's account of astronomy's fantastic voyage in search of brave new worlds and faraway galaxies. So try to, yeah.
Do you think they're really looking in faraway galaxies?
To a degree, I know they did find. I have memories if you're right. They did find exoplanet in Andromeda. Like basically, the star is close enough to the edge, and the exoplanet was large enough that they could actually detect it.
That's where Merlin's from.
That's how Merlin could see everything.
Yeah, so Parker, you should read this one too.
All right. I'll add
Okay.
it after all the research papers I got to read first.
Oh, that, yeah. Yeah, you can do it.
Oh.
Ooh,
Click
Oh.
twice. There it goes.
Packing for Mars by Mary Roach. So I really like Mary Roach. She's really good at taking concepts and kind of making them into an everyday term, kind of really good at comparisons, and she's really good at just explaining everything out in a more talking conversation style. And with Packing for Mars, we explore the strange universe of space travel and life without gravity. So she goes everywhere from space shuttle training to NASA's new space capsule, and it's very entertaining. A lot of her books are very entertaining to read.
Yep.
Ooh, another one for the list. The
Yeah,
ever-growing list.
This is the real reason why we're talking about books.
we don't want to give you suggestions. We want to give us suggestions.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't heard of The Martian by now, please get out from under the rock. It's fantastic. And the reason why it's so fantastic, if you were to ask me, is because it dives into many different areas of science. It talks about lift propulsion. It talks about orbital mechanics. It talks about biology. And it blends them together in a actually scientifically sound way while still putting forth an absolutely thrilling tale of survival on Mars. And I can't recommend it enough. It's great.
Yep. And the audiobook is narrated by Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
So that's got to be worth something.
He's got a couple
don't know.
narrations
Oh, yeah.
under his belt.
I'll
Yep.
give you a quarter.
All right. So the Crone experiment was published in 1986, and we're including it because it was written by Craig Wheeler, who is faculty at the University of Texas. But it's a kind of an exciting adventure, figure it out book about a tiny little black hole that went rogue and did some things, and so folks are trying to figure it out. How do you catch it? What do you do? How do you find that it anyway? The Crone experiment. Good book. Read it if you can find it.
Yeah,
And-
if the book's anything like his lectures, it's very good. I actually did take some classes with him at UT.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I think
How
only
was-
one class. It was fun. He
Okay.
explained the subjects really well.
Awesome. And then, back one.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So this is a story of a man just hitchhiking through the galaxy after Earth was destroyed for an intergalactic highway. Ah, I'm still
Yeah,
stuck
no
on
more
Earth.
nations with Earth being gone.
Yeah, Earth's gone. Planning
Yeah,
and
but-
zoning and things like that, we didn't get in time to dispute it. But yeah, I would say if you haven't heard of this one, definitely need to check it out. There's a movie, not as fun, but it's still really good. So
I like the they did the series on like as a radio show years and years ago.
on
And-
BBC.
I think so. Yeah, very fun.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Don't
Every time I,
panic.
like-
That's right. And be sure you take your towel.
Yes, always have an emergency towel. Don't panic. So long, and thanks for all the fish. That's
Yep. All those things.
all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Very much worth the read.
And from a visiting astronomer, they suggested, surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman.
Yeah, it's
Right.
Feynman.
Feynman, thank you.
Yeah.
So he was a winner of a Nobel Prize in Physics, and he recounts all of his experiences while not strictly in astronomy, it is a pretty entertaining read, as I was immediately hooked by their description of the book. So that's on my list of to be reading.
Yeah, it's a fun book, and Richard Feynman was kind of a character and a genius. So, yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little line of several books that I have that are on my reading list. I physically have the books, but I really need to read them. But they are very interesting nonetheless. They're more going a bit more continuing the nonfiction side of astronomy. This one is Human Cosmos by Joan Marchant. And basically, she's going into, well, how different civilizations and cultures from around the world interacted with the night sky. So from churches, from caves 5,000 years ago, how the cave paintings and drawings shown how they saw the way the night sky moved, to churches, to basically from all over the world, how humanity interacted with the night sky.
Cool.
Another one that, yeah. What?
I said, and you were keeping that book from me.
And
I'm gonna be honest. I
work.
kind of forgot I had it with me until we were preparing for this today. But it was one I got because it sounded really cool.
All right, well, that's my audiobook for tomorrow.
Yeah, another one is called "What Shape is Space" by Thames and Hudson, and it's kind of what the title says. They're trying to figure out answering questions like, what's the shape of space? How does the expansion work? Are there other universes? And it's kind of these two individuals tackling these questions and seeing which ones have the answers, or what we know, or what we can think the answer is based on what we've seen around us. Another one for the list is Nature of Space and Time by Stephen Hawking and Roger Penrose. And it's Stephen Hawking and Roger Penrose debating questions about quantum theory and theory of general relativity and other similar ones. And it's actually a pretty short read. It's only Is it
something that a regular human can read and understand?
So from my understanding, from the little things I have seen or glanced through, it is one that can have a bit more knowledge in astronomy would help. But to the degree I have not read it, so I would not be able to say. But just from the glance, might need a bit more science background for it.
Okay.
That actually brings me to the next book, which is more for just the general public, Relativity by Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein did write a book about his theory of general relativity and just special theories as well, with the purpose of it being for the general audience to understand what this theory is, the thing that people are making a big fuss about, and does explain it very well. And yeah, it's made with the purpose of the general audience. Does get a bit at some points here and there that might be a bit more like, some little more extra background would help, but he does explain it pretty well. So anyone can be like, oh, I'm getting the general idea of it.
Cool.
Yeah. Another one is the little book of cosmology. So this one does need a little bit more of that science background, but even if you don't have that science astronomy background, the introduction does kind of break down. Like literally the first page is the basics. That's the introduction. So they're talking about the basics of the science of cosmology. And it's written by a world-leading experimental cosmologist. And it actually is a little book.
We have that in our gift shop, don't we?
Yeah, so basically all the ones I've just gone through, with the exception of the Human Cosmos, are located in our gift shop.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
So Big and Bright is the history of the McDonald Observatory, starting with Mr. McDonald and going through on how we built the observatory, all the way to, I have no idea how high up. I'm still reading it. So into a modern era is the last chapter, but it's pretty neat. And there's a lot of photos of the different telescope. Like here's our 107-inch telescope. Oop, I completely disappeared. Hang on. This is too cool not to show. So let me do this. So like our 107-inch telescope, and then folks talking about it. There's the photo that we all use for Dr. Harlan J. Smith. So it's really neat and interesting. And there's optics for the 82-inch telescope. That's where that one came from. So it's really cool.
Yeah, Sparrow said it is a book that all VC staff needs to read. I also do have my own copy as well.
Yeah, so I am the newer staff person here at McDonald Observatory on the visitor center team. This was one of the books they gave me to read to learn more about before I started my tours.
Yeah, so another kind of historical book we have is West Texas Time Machine, which what kind of the big and bright talks about some of the older history of McDonald Observatory. The West Texas Time Machine talks about our newest telescope, the Hobby Eberly telescope, which is the largest telescope on site, largest telescope in the continental U.S., and is actually currently one of the largest telescopes in the world at about 10 meters in diameter. So yeah, we want to, and also has some cool images as well as kind of like when they were building it, putting everything together. Deactivate the green screen. The virtual background for a moment here. Yep, so I have some really cool images from the construction of the telescope. Just putting everything together. The way you build something in the middle of West Texas is usually put most of it together offsite and bring it on here and try to glue it together, or at least some pieces here and there. And it's kind of cool just seeing this huge telescope being built.
Mm-hmm. So today is International Women's Day, and I am celebrating, I don't know about the rest of you, by including some books about women and astronomy. So start with this one. She Caught the Light by Catherine Lasky. She Caught the Light is a book about, and it's a book for kids. You can sort of see. It's a nicely illustrated book for kids about Wilhelmina Fleming, who was one of the very early women who worked at the Harvard Observatory. And she started out as the maid for the guy in charge of the observatory. And at one point, somebody said, I forget who, said, my maid could do this better than you guys. And she did. So there. And then she ended up in charge of the women who worked for the Harvard Observatory, and she did a lot of really important work. So She Caught the Light is a story of Wilhelmina Fleming, and that's very cool. The next one is Galaxy Girls. And Sam, is this one you put in there?
Yep. Okay. Galaxy Girls is inspirational women. So 50 inspirational women who helped with the achievements in space exploration from the 19th century to today. So it's really neat to be able to kind of go through history and see all of the amazing women that were part of the space exploration. Mm-hmm. And our next one is very similar. It's Women in Science. There are 50 illustrated portraits of just trailblazing women in STEM, the women who paved the way for the next generation. This is actually a book that I got my little sister for Christmas.
Cool.
I liked it so much, and I was like, we need women in STEM. So here's a book about women in STEM.
That's pretty cool. And then there's Hidden Figures. And did you want to talk about that, or
you can?
Want me to? Hidden Figures, you've seen the movie. It's about this group of mathematicians who were called human computers, and they worked for NASA and got us to the moon. So there you go. And this is a book version of the movie, or a movie. There's a movie made from the book. I don't know which. And that's Hidden Figures, and that's very cool. And then after that, Through the Glass Ceiling to the Stars, which was recommended by one of the other women at the Visitor Center. A story of Eileen Collins, and it's by her, and how to chase the dream of becoming an astronaut and what it means to be a woman in those male-dominated fields. So she tells her story in a really relatable and inspiring way with a healthy dose of good humor. And
So that's what she had said to add in of how
Yeah.
she personally was enjoying the book and thought of it.
And maybe if you're trying to be an astronaut and all the other astronauts are guys, you probably have to have a healthy dose of good humor.
Yeah.
I think there's more and more and more female astronauts. So Eileen Collins was one of the first, and that's awesome.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Then The Glass Universe is the story of not just Wilhelmina Fleming, but the whole team of women who worked at the Harvard Observatory studying the photographic plates that came from the telescopes. Did a lot of really good work. And going along with that, Miss Leavitt's Stars is another book about, this is about Henrietta Swan Leavitt. I have a different version of it right here. You can see it looks different, but it's got the same picture, sort of. She worked at the Harvard Observatory, one of those women who worked at the Harvard Observatory. And the thing that she really discovered was the really important clue for figuring distances to things that were very far away, distant stars. This was the work that Hubble used to help him figure out that the distance to the Andromeda Galaxy was different than, was farther away than he had originally thought, and that the Andromeda Galaxy was a whole different galaxy, and suddenly the universe is a whole lot bigger. So, important stuff. And is there another woman book? I think that's it.
I think
That's it. So, we can show you some staff favorites. Is there a list of these books? I see your question, and there's going to be. But we don't have it written down yet because we were creating this list on the fly this afternoon. So check back tomorrow or the next day, and it should be in the notes section on this show. Okay?
Yeah, down the description, and there will be a little kind of like a little star asterisk mark next to the ones that are available on the gift shop.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's share our staff favorites because we got a little bit of time. You want to do that?
Sure.
Yeah. So we asked people at the observatory for their favorite books. And some of the people who have favorite books that are textbooks. And so who collected this one? Do you know? Was it?
Oh, Mr. Fowler is the kind of guy who would put a textbook as his favorite book.
Parker, be nice. Yeah, but
No, I love him.
it's a great textbook. So, yeah, Jim Fowler is a systems analyst and a great guy. And here's another set of books that he likes, and it's a Mars trilogy. And these are science fiction, so these are okay. They're not textbooks, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's a very good series from what I've heard. It's on my list of books to read.
Oh, okay.
I can vouch for that. Very good.
Have you read them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And then John Keeney is a research engineer up on Mount Locke who works with Parker. And he said when my father wanted to work on his book, he took me to the University of Kentucky Library and plunked me down where I just sat and read Scientific American magazines. And he, had questions about what he read, and he just kept reading and ended up getting numerous degrees, all from starting to read all the Scientific American magazines. Isn't that something? So that's not a book, but it is a stack of magazines.
Still reading material.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so
Alright.
this was
Go
from
ahead.
our one of our colleague and other fellow host, Marnie Pautzke, Navigating the Stars by Maria V. Snyder. So this is a young adult science fiction novel that follows Lyra across the Milky Way galaxy where her parents are sent to study another set of life-size terracotta warriors.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wonder what it is.
So there's terracotta warriors that were unearthed in China somewhere a while back, remember?
Yeah.
There's a whole nother set over there. Awesome.
Said she had to throw a YA in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she says, I love this book because it weaves Earth history into speculative fiction with real issues like time dilation. Ooh, I like that.
Cool. That's
Okay,
exciting.
yeah,
That sounds like we should put that on our list.
Save the list that's ever growing.
So we have No Idea by George Chant and Daniel Whiteson. This is from Nicole Wilson. She's also one of our newer staff persons on the mountain. She works at the Hobby Eberly Telescope as an optical technician. And it's one of her favorite astronomy books because it's a fun beginner's guide to recent astrophysics.
Cool.
Ooh.
And helped her solidify her decision for her major. So that's pretty neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we got one from Stephen Janowicki, the science operations manager at the Hobby Eberly Telescope. He has been on the live stream a couple of times, so if the name sounds familiar, that's probably why. Do recommend checking out the past live streams with him because they're super cool. You can check out the AGT's inner workings. But his book is a science fiction novel that takes place on a neutron star. Owing to the strong gravity, tiny, dense life forms grow and evolve extremely rapidly. And human space travelers who visit watch the colonized civilizations develop and grow in only a few weeks.
Ooh.
And he says physicist, aerospace engineer, and writer Dr. Ford interweaves concepts of neutron star physics throughout the novel, which kind of makes it sound super cool. And it's another one for the list now. It's another one for the list.
All right. Well, let me add one in here. We'll just Billy's Astro Says Star Mentor by Dr. Daniel Barth. So, everybody, we should try that one. I don't know much about it or anything, but thank you. And then, what else do we have? A briefer history of time. So that's the universe in a nutshell, only briefer.
No, it's a brief history of time, only briefer.
Yes.
Yeah, submitted by Justen Pautzke, who is an observer at the Hobby Eberly Telescope here.
Yep. A nice entry into some of the concepts of general relativity. So we can read that along with that Einstein book that you suggested.
Yeah, exactly. The crash course intro.
Oh my goodness, we're going to be so smart. All we have to do is read all these books.
I mean, there's also Crash
sorry.
Course
Oh.
on YouTube that does astronomy crash course as well. It just is. If you're saying about that.
So, Steve Odawan is a research scientist and resident astronomer at the Hobby Eberly Telescope. And he likes this book called The Perfect Machine because he read it when he was just starting at the Pasadena at Caltech. And this is a book about their Palomar telescope. So a good introduction for people who are going to work with other big telescopes. Parker, you should probably read it.
Oh, your list is growing as well.
Not by
Little
one,
do you
but
know-
it's growing.
Yeah, little did you know this was actually assigned reading. You're being given assigned reading.
Yeah, we're just making you work here. So
I already work here.
Yeah. So this one Yeah, so this one I put another Kim Stanley Robinson book, but it's called Aurora, and it's a sci-fi novel. I would say that one's called young adult fiction, but it's definitely for older audiences. And it takes place on a generation spaceship on route to Talceli. So it's actually following several generations of people have lived and died on this ship. It's been over 160 years has passed once the story starts. And they're like basically on the tail end of their journey. And one of my favorite things about it is it breaks down lots into like the problems that you can run into on a space travel. So how are you going to keep resources? How are you going to keep food? Going to keep the cycle going to make sure nothing gets wasted. Also talks about like little cultural things there, like how would people be interacting and with one another on a system like this of several generations with each other, including internal conflicts amongst themselves. And even once they start getting closer to their end goal, what do they need to get ready? Oh, how's the air going to be there? What readings do they have to do? How to have people colonize areas? What's the best methods and such?
Mhm.
And one of my favorite things about it, the kind of cool thing that set apart, is also like about 80% of the book, if not more, is told from the ship's AI. The ship's AI is just one basically the AI has been keeping records of the entire trek. So the AI is just continuing to do so. And if you listen to the audiobook, it does switch between like a robotic voice for the AI and more human voices for the other characters when they're the ones speaking. Yeah,
Oh, how
I really, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend.
All right.
Yep.
And then we have endurance, which, if you've stuck with us through this whole show, you're showing us endurance. This is from Scott Kelly, who is the astronaut who was on 4 space flights and spent an entire year on the International Space Station. You have it in your hand. Awesome.
Yep.
story is equal
Rachel
part-
Fuchs.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was gonna say Rachel Fuchel is the programs manager. She's also my supervisor, and also she highly recommended this book, which is why I have the copy of it.
Awesome. It's fascinating, thrilling, and inspiring, and you should read it. So
Yeah, I should. As on top of all my other stacks of books, I should read just from this stream alone.
Oh, goodness. Well, and that is what we have. So, does anybody want to quick throw in another book in the last minute? Uh-oh, Sam.
Stars and Planets, Smithsonian's Nature Guide. So it's Kevin had suggested the Peterson Guide, but we had the Smithsonian Guide. So
In the gift shop.
in the gift shop, and it's really neat. And
Okay.
we got like monthly star charts and sky guides, and then it also goes into the different planets.
And one of the reasons to celebrate Read Across America last week was that March 2nd is Dr. Seuss's birthday, and this is a Cat in the Hat book. Not by Dr. Seuss, but it has the Cat in the Hat, and it is There's No Place Like Space, which, besides saying we don't like Venus because it's dry and dusty, anyway, the rest of it's pretty good. So read it with a critical mind, and you'll be good. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Saul. Thank you,
Oh
Parker.
wait, I
Thank
saw
you,
Parker
Martinique.
had one as well.
Oh,
You have one? Awesome.
yep. More Stephen Hawking, black holes and baby universes. I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but it really dabbles in the highly exotic, let's say. This is more pure physics, and it's really difficult to get into, but if you can understand it, you'll have a great understanding of the weirdest parts of our universe, and it's pretty neat. So
Cool. And then our moderator Nebula says the Sky Observer's Guide was one of his first astronomy books. So that's another. Wow, so many books. Let's go home and read a book. Thank you all very much for joining us. And let's leave the final slide up for a while. You can connect with us many ways. You can join the Friends of McDonald Observatory. You can visit our gift shop online or in person. You can come and visit us. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, and we do daytime and nighttime programs, and you can find us on our website. You can look at stardate.org, which links to our Stardate magazine, so more things to read. And like, follow, and subscribe, says Spiral McDonald. And thank you all very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.